My December daily for 2022 into 2023 was once again in a Simple Stories album. I love this album with the poinsettias, again with the wide spine. It has the wrap that goes all the way across and the nice little spine piece there as well. I loved the gingham on the inside, and I used a variety of different products from all different companies. You see some Ellie Edwards stuff here. I did an acetate sheet for kind of my opening. The acetate works really, really well, and it is a thinner acetate. However, I was able to easily size it to fit the page protectors, punch holes, and it sits nicely on a die cuts with a view paper to give it that nice background. And then made sure that the circle on the front matched the circle on the back. It was a pack of 3, I think. There was a saying here, and then this one was plain. So this is a rubber piece, and then some stickers that I popped on it. On the side here, one of the journal cards, and I put some washi along the top to make a base for the Tim Holtz dies. I really liked the card, and so it worked out well for kind of a reason why. Die cuts work really well in here. Again, you can make them really flat, and then here's a wood piece, and you can have that dimension without having super thickness. Here is a flip out page. So again, I always do November. I did not do anything for Halloween or October. I really just kind of wanted to jump into November and then December. So the November piece, I wanted to highlight going and seeing the Nutcracker. And so the flip out here has the weekend. I had an appointment, and then here's the Nutcracker. Overall, I went with the pink. This is die cuts with a view paper again. Kind of folded the paper in half, or almost in half, so that I could have the flip out, and used an Ellie Studio card and some stickers, and then just did a little collage here to capture that. Some more washi. These are die cuts that I hand stitched on. Hand stitching again gives some dimension and some texture, but not a lot of thickness. So another opportunity to add something extra into the album. See, some of my washi is lifting a little bit, so that's washi tape back there, and then some die cuts and some stamps and punches. Going into December, I don't have a divider page. So some of the other videos you'll see that I have a divider page. I use this card from Ellie Edwards in some of her handwriting, which I love, to be that divider. It says December. I found that that was sufficient for what I wanted. And I did use it as a little pocket to hold a tag for some journaling. So again, some hidden journaling here for the second. On the first, same thing, big photo, kind of starting out the month with my December daily cart in my office with my bookcase and the tree. I actually eventually did put a TV right there. But this is a brad and a tag, which then spins and has a little hello to December. You know, I was ready for it. Really excited for the holiday season. Making some changes around the house and stuff. So stamped on it and put some stickers and layered to make a little hidden journaling piece there. I have done this before with a circle and hidden journaling and had it behind plastic. Here, if you want journaling that is easily read and you're okay with people reading it, even though you hide it away for aesthetic purposes, having it so that it can be touched makes it easier for people to actually pull things out and take a look at them. You're kind of inviting them into the story. This year, I kind of went simple with some of my stories and, you know, didn't necessarily have long stories, and that's okay. I change up kind of what I'm doing sometimes. And so the second is Grinch Day because of my mom. That's what the journaling says. And so I just wanted these tags that were the Grinch. And I had a little stamp that says G for Grinch. Put the number 2. Moved on. All of my numbers are different. Some of them are foam stickers. Some of them are stamped. Again, some years I will use the same font and the same numbers all the way through. Other times I like to mix it up and play around with that. So that's what I did this year. Lots of stamping. And kind of layering, using the cards from a variety of different from different companies. This is Ellie Studio. This is Paper Person, I believe. And so, you know, using the cards to kind of hold the stories or enhance the stories. Here, I just love all of the red of the season. And so used a red card, took a picture of a bunch of red stuff, put a red heart, a green, so that it kind of matched other things and worked with the page. And that was a story. It doesn't have to be huge, right? It's just a capture of life in December. And then, you know, used a bunch of cards here, put some journaling in, did some stamping, you know, different moments and things that are all of good cheer. So I like some of these prompt cards because they can be fillers. They can be, you know, parts that kind of help guide the stories, but they can also be prompts for the stories. With, you know, all the details, moments of wonder and joy. But here, the whole purpose of the day is good cheer. And so that's why I put the number on this card, because your eye goes to the number. Here's your theme of good cheer for the day. Lots of interactive, more so this year than a lot of the other years, playing around with inserts and dies that allow you to put pages in without punching holes in them. You know, peace, love, joy. This was discussions, a few other little stories here. Loved the nutcrackers, loved the wooden stars. I was really trying to use up a lot of stash this year. The number 6 is on the star. I was like, wait a minute, there's no number. I stickled it, which is really hard to see. So again, I wouldn't do that again. 7, using some acetate, using an actual gift tag. I'm not worried about the acid touching the photos. It doesn't bother me. I won't be around in 75 to 100 years when it's all eaten, so don't care. This is a box or a chest that I got for like 90% off at Hobby Lobby. It holds all of my tissue and wrapping stuff. And so I used the little card to kind of talk about that. Deliberately took the photo so that there was lots of space here to have that journaling and keep that story. And then on the opposite side, playing with acetate this year. So here's an acetate piece. I had created a tree out of cardstock, cut it up, and then use that as a template to then use for cutting pieces of the wrapping paper for the tree. So you can kind of see how that looks here. Stitched those onto the acetate. Added a few embellishments, you know, Santa and do not open. This goes with this story, which is why I use the same acetate piece there. This was an idea that I saw in the Ellie Edwards December Daily group, and I really thought it was cute. It's quite a few years old, but I pulled it out because I really wanted to play with the acetate this year. And then on the back, if I put that piece of paper, you can see it a little bit more. All those white pieces I then journaled on and adhered to the acetate to cover up my stitches. And I made it all about the Christmas trees. And so, you know, here's all of the, you know, story points. Each point has a little heart, which is a sticker. Added in some stuff that's all about trees. And then here you can see that these are the trees that I'm talking about, and put, some stickers and green hearts to match these green hearts, because that'll tie the spread together. This was a stamp set that I had that were all ing words. Enjoying, loving, watching, working, listening. And so what I did was, because there were 9, 4 here, 4 here, I did an insert, cut the excess off there. This was a 3x8, and it had 2 3x4s on it, I believe. And so cut that off and put a tabby here. And just a picture of myself, bring on number 9, watching. So what are some of the things that we're watching? The top shows. I stamped, our names, and I just kept mine to tan. Some of my friends call me Tan. Some people call me T. It was just easier for 3 and 3. And then what are we watching? Our top shows. I had 2 of these Ellie Studio cards, so it really worked well to incorporate that into the album. So that's what we were watching. This is what we were loving. I just used cards that I had. 3 things right now. Making a list, 3 hearts. They weren't specific to Christmas. This one was, but then I used that to hold my lists overall, and did some stamping, added some embellishments. Sometimes it was just a photo, and some of the ing words were kind of awesome in terms of like struggling, enjoying, loving, eating, working, feeling, listening. My book report, I didn't fill that out. I guess I wasn't quite done that book, so I need to go back and do that. Some of them didn't have words, so working was just a snapshot of work at the time. The feeling was my weekly medications. So all of my multivitamins and minerals, and my medication that I take. So I love my little weekly sorter. It's so helpful. So just, this is the story of all these different things. And so you can tell a lot of stories by doing this. This was a stamp set, but you could always write it out on a label. You can change up what your ing words are. You watching, listening, talking, phoning, texting. There's lots of things you could do there. Again, lots of stories here that are just short. So here, notes from Saturday and Sunday. I have a lot of these cards from Ellie Studio. I don't use them a lot. So I wanted to incorporate some of them because of the colors of the red. So as I'm working and prepping for my December daily, I go through my stash and see what are the colors of the scheme that I'm working with that I can use in the album that aren't necessarily Christmas, but could still be used to match with some of the things that are specifically Christmas. And so here this card worked. And I had another card that had the pink and the red and this cute little Santa and, daily life. And there's my number 11. I was doing a bunch of fussy cutting. It was just a pile of things I was fussy cutting and punching out. I do this on a regular basis when I'm watching TV, because then I don't feel guilty because I'm multitasking. And so I literally will have hundreds of things in a big pile, and then I sort them out into little trays and stuff like that so that I can use them. Here, the comforts of home. This was the prompt. It was actually a stamp. And so stamped it on a label. I have this little wooden house from Ellie Edwards, put some stickers, and it's just our fireplace. And again, it was a 5x7. So just added it in with these great little tabs. Of course, winter, the first snow. I always like to document that, whatever day it happens on, that's something that is enjoyable, I guess, when it first comes. It's very Christmassy, feels very holiday-ish to me. Use some little vellum snowflakes there. And also used up a bunch of these kind of aqua colored embellishments as well. So I kind of hold some of those separate so that I can use them up whenever I have the chance. Here was a die cut. Ooh, where did this come from? I'll figure it out. This was a die cut, obviously, 8 inches tall. And then what I did was I cut up a card and put it behind. And I changed the color of this because I saw this online because I thought that was just hilarious, because I do watch a lot of death shows, as my family calls it. And then it was cold outside that day, so I put, it's cold outside, deliberately took a photo of my slippers. It was still cold from the day before, and that is the story of the 14th. The 15th, Joy is. So again, another card that had a prompt. I cut it smaller to fit in there. It shortened the space that I had. But this was a super basic December day. And it was a screenshot of chatting with my friend. And we went to Whataburger. So that's it, right? Just a super, super basic day. This was a stamp. It was a nice prompt. Ellie Edwards makes some great prompts that you can use year to year to year. And so I stamped a bunch of these out and used them throughout my album to kind of give me ideas for stories. Sometimes cards have a nice little lyric or a saying, and I put them in to kind of be that separator between some of the other stuff going on in the album. And so in the air, there's a feeling of Christmas. There's a little cute little Santa. So it just gives your eye time to rest. I made sure I pulled in some of the colors of the aqua and the pink and the red to kind of continue that look. But then when we flick that over, then we are on to the 16th. So the 16th is our anniversary. Did a quick thing about, the rain and the snow, because that was continuing on with a little nutcracker. Used a card, again, not a Christmas card, added some stuff to make it Christmassy, and then took some pictures, of us for the anniversary. And so, again, this is what means the most, non-Christmas. A little note, I think this was a Valentine's one. And so, oh, I know where this came from. This came from here. It fell off. Probably because there's no adhesive on it for some reason. Okay, I'll fix that after. But this should be a flip as well. So, the story of the gifts and stuff like that. I'm not sure why that happened. Okay, I'll fix it after. And then, so, this was dental work. I needed to get some dental work done. And so, just taking the time and space to go get the dental work and feeling rough. And so, super snazzy picture of myself, but, it is what it is. And so things like that happen. Luckily it was close to the end of the year, use up insurance and all that good stuff. 18th, a little bit of shopping for final holiday albums and some surprise finds. And then I put in some, different marketing pieces and things like that. So, that's kind of fun when you're doing shopping. And also the 18th was Hanukkah. So I was able to use my little stamp that says H in Hanukkah and then put a little piece here too. And then there's Santa, filling in some dead space there. 19, I loved this paper with the little garlands. It was a 6x8 sheet, so I could cut it down to get those garlands in there. I have printed out Buddy multiple times. I fussy cut him out and put him on here. He just brings me so much joy. I don't know if you're a Will Ferrell fan or not, but anytime I see him, whether he's Buddy or any other character, he cracks me up. And so I love this movie, and so wanted to have him in here. And then, you know, this was a page. So scrapbook.com makes these flip out pages that have either 2 3x4s or four 3x4s or 2 4x6s here. And then they have this flap with 3x4s. These are great, and you're going to see them. I think they came out with them this year, so I was playing around with it. Definitely, could you have printed this and put the card on there with a 4x6? Yes. In that case, you could have and same thing with pictures, because they end up touching anyway, so it's not a huge deal. But I got both configurations to kind of play around with. So, you know, here, singing loud. Oh, the best part of Christmas cheer. I was doing this. The best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear. So this was actually from an Ellie Studio card. I cut that off to go with this strip from Ellie Edwards. And they're just random pictures of things that were making me happy. So there's Pikes Peak, and, you know, we went to Patsy's. Purdy's is in Canada. Patsy's, oh, they have delicious chocolate and fantastic popcorn. So we got some stuff for the holiday season. And then we had gone to Target to look at M&S stuff. It's from London, and I got some stuff there before, and they have these great tins and Christmas stuff, so I went and checked that out. Added a little stamped Elizabeth Tower and Big Ben there to kind of create my little cluster. And we wanted to try this sandwich shop, so we grabbed lunch there. Again, pulling everything together with some of the colors and the tags there, and then the colors there as well. And then the next day, lots of red. These were my sugar cookie bars, and I made up little containers and tags and stuff for his co-workers. And so that was the story. Again, a homemade favorite. I don't know if that was a Christmas one or it was part of a baking set. Homemade treats, holiday baking, kind of using up some of my stickers that went with that. And I deliberately used red sprinkles because I had the cards. So sometimes the story drives the you know, the scrapbooking, and sometimes the products drive what you're doing in life. So sometimes thinking ahead is kind of nice and making those decisions. So Tom's coworkers had been sick, super sick, and we got sick on the 21st of December. So that's awesome. I feel like in other albums, I'm always like, oh, we were sick. I think everybody is go in November and December. And so when one person gets sick, it's just inevitable that everyone gets sick. And so use a stamp here. This was something I stamped out, put the letters on a long block, and then, you know, moved the S's around as needed, but stamped that to make the background, and then put the journaling there. So this was a one that I made by cutting, you know, a half circle out of this and then trimming the cardstock to go with it. Did the same thing on the back. And then here is a picture of Tom shoveling. You know, the card, I cut down a 3x4 card to have the temperatures, and we had lots of snow that year. Put the date, and then use this Great Baby It's Cold Outside sticker there to kind of pull everything together, but also fill some of that dead zone there. And talking about how Tom goes, and the elderly gentleman across the street, he used to go and shovel for him before he passed, and we have an elderly gentleman who lives beside us, and so Tom goes and shovels for him as well. So, you know, peeked out the window. It was freezing cold. Peeked out the window and took a photo from the door there. 23rd, Festivus. And so Tom found this ridiculous little figure of Frank Costanza, and so I took a little picture of him, sized it so it would go behind this wreath, used 2 cards and washi to pull this together so that the other side of the page I could put this big collage of things that we got at Patsy's. So 'twas the night before Christmas. Again, eating junk and watching rubbish kind of was the prompt here. I deliberately put this together because of that prompt. I wanted to use that. I wanted to use the night before Christmas, rounded the corners, to put that as part of my cluster. I love when I find cards at the dollar store that kind of go with my theme, go with my colors. Again, a nice place to have a rest, but also then hold a story on the back. So these were stamp strips. This is an Ellie Edwards stamp. And it's supposed to be a tag. So that circle you're supposed to punch out and it's supposed to be a tag. However, I wanted to have them fill the entire card. And I think I trimmed down the card just a little bit so that 9 of them would fit, alternated green and red to give some visual interest because the green and red here matches here, and then stamp the little numbers in. So as things are small, you want to think about that. Like, what does it look like? Like the green and the red here match the green and the red there. You know, the red here matches there. This has some red in it, some yellow. But be thinking about when it lays down, is it going to look good for your eyes? Do things match? And that kind of will help with some of your design choices. So, you know, handwriting there, kept it simple. Did an insert. Here we are soaking in the hot tub, and kind of did like a little collage of little bits. So this is a great way to use some of the smaller things that maybe you're not using. We're watching Love Actually. I love that movie so much. If you love it too, we're going to be best friends, because I love that movie any time of year. And when he's talking to Margaret Thatcher's picture on the wall and he's like, "You saucy minx," cracks me up every single time. And so made sure that I captured that picture so that it could be in my album. And then the reason why it's so big is because I had this great Simple Stories paper, A Merry Christmas to All and to All Good Night, because that works with Christmas time. And I love The Night Before Christmas. I love that book. I love it, love it, love it. I also wanted to bring in some blue tones here because of the blues on some of the pictures here. So this is us out looking for pictures. I used a digital file here and put that on there. Also made sure that when I was putting the pictures in Photoshop, I had moved this one up a little bit and that one down to create a nice white line so that it would hold my journaling. So that was intentional to kind of fill in this dead zone. And then made sure this was big enough so that my circle would fit, and then did some layering and some little dots and hearts and stuff there. Great idea, or great chance here to use some bits too. Like this says December 24th. It's really small, not something I would use on a layout because it's really tiny. And so those types of little things you can use with these little clusters and use a bunch of them up. So you see a lot of that in this book, kind of trying out new and different things. This is the 25th, as you can see by the big 25. This was in an Ellie Edwards advent calendar that she had created. I deliberately did the page really big so that it covers everything in front of it, because this was all the 24th. I like the spreads to have, you know, page here, little things in the middle that kind of go with that day, but then it's a new day. Okay, so I think this is the first time that I really kind of did something this big, and I loved it. So I will definitely be doing that again. So did a picture of Tom opening his gift. This is from Ellie Edwards as well. Chipboard says Christmas morning. And then using some Ellie Studio pieces here, you know, the wish list, and, you know, have a holly jolly Christmas. So filling it in with the lyric there. I think this said something else, and so I just put the tag over it. And rather than do a whole bunch of pictures of stuff, I did some circles of some different things that were in our stocking, and you know, made a little note about some of the gifts that I picked up for him there. So, yeah. And so that was his stocking and his gifts. And then here's my stocking. So, the little things there. Again, another filler card that has all of the reindeer. I thought that was super cute because it matched over here, my letter to Santa. And, 'tis the season I talked about. I love shopping for gifts. I love shopping for people. I love paying attention to what they enjoy. I really love it. And so I've gotten compliments or comments from people in my life that are like, you give the best gifts. I pay attention. I have spreadsheets. I make notes. that's the only reason why. And I love it. I love it. I love, I've had things where it says Santa's Little Helper. Totally could be Santa's Little Helper. I totally, totally love it. So, and then I did a letter to Santa here. So this was a Allie Edwards page. I've had this for years and years and years, and I have a couple more in different colors. And, I kind of talked about the day. Like, I woke up early and, we had planned, a turkey dinner. We did this and we did that, and it was just a excellent 25th. So, you could use something like this and have your children or your grandchildren fill it out and put it in your December daily. We don't have kids, we don't have grandkids, and so I always use these as a way to journal, or a way to talk about my hopes for the season, or kind of incorporate my reason why into that. But here it was just journaling about the day. It matched everything, so I went with it. Because usually, again, if things are in the middle, because they weren't, the 25th is there, the 25th is there, flip this over, the 25th is there, okay? Every single thing that you get for Christmas always has a 25. And I found that I had a ton of them. And so I was trying to use some of them up. This year, you could use a 25 in every single month, in every single project, on every single page, because it's the year 25. And so, there's more chances to use a bunch of those. But I specifically did that so that you would see that it's still the 25th. And so one of the things I got myself was a little ornament of the Queen. She had passed away that year, so there was no message from the Queen that year. I was very lucky in that the red brick school that I went to school in Canada, we always have, because we're part of the Commonwealth, we always have a picture of the monarch that is currently seated. And so the Queen was the Queen for years and years and years. And in the art room of the red brick school that I went to, which is now torn down, this actual picture was hanging in it. When they were tearing down the school, I was part of the crew that was helping haul things away and move like desks and things like that. And they were going to throw this away, and my heart broke. And I said, please don't throw it away. Is there a chance that I could just have it? And so they let me take it. And the frame is old, and it's kind of beat up and it's kind of faded, but it was in the basement of this red brick school for years and years and years and years. And so now it hangs in my craft room, and I love it. And so when I was taking a picture of this ornament, I wanted to really make sure that the picture was there as well. I'm not in this craft room anymore. I have since moved down into the basement, but she is in my glass case with all my other goodies. And then this is also hanging on my wall right beside the closet. I can see it when I'm talking to you right now. So really kind of special. Wanted that to be a big picture. And then another one of these flip outs, again, lots of fun, more Christmas stuff, lots of pictures at Christmas time, some little memes. Some things that I found online that I thought were funny or interesting. I worked on my December daily. We soaked in the tub. There's our turkey. There's our turkey dinner. Ellie Studio makes these great cards and stamps. So I cut this from one card, and then, because I wanted it on a Christmas piece, cut out this piece, cut out that piece, and layered it there. So lots of opportunity for more. Some of these are pretty funny, so I wanted to incorporate them as well, and kind of work together. Flip the page, 26. So we ventured out, to see if I could get some of those M&S things that I didn't get before. But we did get some deals, and so we don't usually venture out, but we did this year, and so wanted to document that. Picked a card here. It had a little, line pattern, and then I had a card that had the line pattern, but in a different direction, so I thought that was cute to put the 26. Not super fancy, super quick, but it was fun to do that day. Here, sometimes I do something a little more interactive. So this was actually something that Whataburger had sent. Again, printed it on a huge photo, put some small little photos. I really enjoy Whataburger. I love most things Texas. And then this was a strip of printed washi from Ellie Edwards from years and years ago. Literally the only strip of this whole roll that I've ever used, so I need to make sure that I use it more. But instead of covering up Santa flying over the moon, I made a little tag here. I've done this before when I made a little booklet. These little metal rim tags are so cute for that. They hold things well. They're sturdy, and they look like little charms. So kept it tight so that the W is still there, but it held my day. So that's kind of fun. Again, why is this so big? Because I wanted to use this for the 28th. So sometimes when you are planning things out, what's your story, but what's your next story too? So here, this was a gift bag I got at the Target dollar spot. Plaid Tidings of Comfort and Joy. I knew I had to have this because I love plaid at any time of the year, but I especially love it at Christmas time. So there were holes in the bag here. I did a circle and stitched it so that I could put the date, but also cover that up. Cut the bag down to the size that I wanted, nice and tight, so that I could print a photo that was the same size for the other side. I have a picture of our plaid bedding, which I, absolutely love. And I will miss this year because we no longer have this bedding. So we have different plaid bedding, and added some foam. So foam works really cute because it'll squish a little bit and still look good, and it's not, hard like chipboard is. So it will run through with your dies. I cut this with a die in my Big Shot. It'll run through any die cut machine, and it cuts really, really well. So used it here with some brads. Again, had those forever. Martha Stewart punch branches, and then here again used the green and the red to kind of go with the background, and did our tree in the bedroom. Laying in bed, I turn it on at night and I leave it on. I usually fall asleep. When Tom comes to bed, he turns it off. So that's one of my favorite things about Christmas time, is going to bed. And so the card that goes with that, this is from Ellie's studio as well. On this day in December, and you're supposed to punch in the numbers, right? Like the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. I just put little, thin chipboard things that I had, and, things that I love about this. So enjoying the cozy of the bed. I love our bed. Loving the twinkle of the lights in the tree, smiling over the reflection on the wall. So just kind of little things that I was feeling at that time to go with this. These little 3x8 inserts are kind of fun too. Because this is a whole strip, but you can put 2 3x4s here. So one of the advent calendar stickers matched this Ellie's studio card, and then I put my bag here with the heart and the 30. I also then, is this the 31st? Or no, that's the 30th still. So, oh, what fun, I guess, ties in with everything, with the colors there. And then I always put our Christmas cards. So, oh, what fun with the bag, the different merry moments, what was in the mail, things that we got that day. But also in the mail is our card. So I had gone to London with my brother And I had taken this picture when I was in the London Eye, or he took the picture of me when I was in the London Eye, of the Elizabeth Tower, Big Ben, Parliament. And I love this picture. And, you know, Tom and my brother were joking around, and they're like, oh, we should put Tom in there. And I thought, you know, Tom beside me. And they came up with this, where Tom was, you know, hanging off of the tower. So again, you know, sometimes our cards are very, you know, just us smiling, and they're very straightforward and normal. And then other years people get this in the mail and they're like, what is wrong with you two? I got these cute little cards at Hobby Lobby that have, you know, Santas and snowmen and stuff in the back because it was a fun card. So, you know, Mary, and then I put a little carrot that says not so merry and not so bright. And so of course everyone laughed over that. Tom was okay with it. He's like, yeah, because I look like an idiot, it's hilarious. And so you know, we went with it. So I usually put my story of the card in here, and so that's what's in there. 31st, I like ending on this page. I did it this year. Some other years I don't. So this was, again, using cards that have little images for prompts. And then Happy New Year. I just used some memes and wrote what happened. We didn't do anything. Yeah, we're done. So moving on to the January divider. This was an embossed page that Ellie Edwards had, and when it was on clearance for like 49 cents, I bought a ton of them because it has a mountainscape. I don't know if you can see that or not. I add stickles to it every year, stamp the January, put the 2023, and then Hello New Year. Pikes Peak always makes it into my album somewhere. I always take a winter picture. Usually I'm coming from Simple Pleasures down the hill. This, I think we were zipping along Dublin, but I always make sure that I have a picture. And then this was a digital file. Using up cards and some tags. Again, here's more snow. You know, family tradition. It kind of works, but I wanted the blue here. You know, he loves going out and shoveling, and then I had a friend that was coming through with her family because they had been up skiing, and so I met with them. And then you know, on January, so this is the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, I use little stamps of the date. And then we went and I got some deals at Joann's, so they had an organization sale. As always, good with the bad. So 4th, 5th, 6th, a good friend of my brother's passed away, and so did a little tribute to him in the album. The 5th, we had moved over to Mint Mobile, and so you know, here was a little card that they had sent, and I used a marketing piece, fussy cut him out with some branches, and then you know, continued with the green, and then the green over here. Because Ukrainian Christmas, the 6th is Christmas Eve, the 7th is Christmas. I had a bunch of these 'twas the night before Christmas. I used one earlier, so I decided to use another one here in the full form, and kind of talk about what was happening here. We did not do a traditional pierogies. We didn't do stroganoff. We did nothing. We went and picked up Whataburger because I was not feeling good, and we had the cough still, and we're making new traditions, and I'm trying to stop feeling guilty. Moving on. I took no pictures on the 7th, and that's okay. So if you find that there are things that you want to document and you don't have the photos, do not feel guilty. This is your book. Use something else. So I used this card of these people skating and skiing, and I'm like, well, this is Colorado-ish. It was I think a marketing thing that came in something. It paired well with these cards from Ellie's studio. I added a green circle there to go with the green trees and also the dark green here. Put a sticker from American Crafts there because I use some there as well as here. So everything ties together, and moments to remember. So special treats from today. You know, Terry's chocolate orange, which is like every year we have to get a Terry's chocolate orange. They're so good, and they have different flavors now. So good. Tom loves the Whitman's chocolates. We got a panettone and tried that out. And then some Australian licorice. So, is it anything to do with Ukrainian Christmas? No. Just being merry. And so these people are all happy and merry, and we're happy and merry, and that's the end of the album. So, trying out different techniques and things this year, using up lots of bits that I had been holding on to and hoarding, like this Rubber December. Use it. Just use it, folks. I love this album simply because I used a bunch of stuff that I really enjoy, and I just gave myself permission to have fun with it and to go with it. So do the same for yourself.